Yeah, I smelled it on you. What are you doing on this side of town?
Well, damn, you acting like you know already. What's wrong with you?
Nothing at all. Just here visiting Benny.
Oh, Benny stays on this side of town? Where does he live? Not in these buildings.
Yes, in these buildings. Who do you know that lives over here, Lisa?
You sure are asking a lot of questions.
Not really.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's your boy here, Wesley from ACONNECTIONTV here on YouTube, the one place on the World Wide Web where we actually adopt similar connections despite our differences, and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time seeing me, definitely follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ACONNECTIONTV, and let's get into it right away. We are talking about episode 10, Cruel World, the Challenge, World Championships, and this particular episode wasn't really all that. There was not a lot going on because there's only 6 teams left, and it's like, okay, right? Like I said to y'all last week, the only people that I'm really rooting for are Kiki and Darrell and Danny. Those are like the only teams that I'm really rooting for. Troy is cool. I like Troy, but you know, he's tied to Kaycee. And then you have Jordan, who can take a break like CT. You have Tori, who can't make up her mind to save her life. And then you have Emily and Yes. And Yes is a great dude. I don't have any problems with Yes. But Emily tried some shady stuff with Kiki in the very beginning. So, you know, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Kind of rubbed me like sandpaper. And so I'm like, have people over here, one person over here, one person over there that's like, ugh. So this is a very interesting closing of the game, and I'm not really feeling it, right? Darrell and Kiki boots out Tristan and Kellyanne. I miss Tristan and Kellyanne. I feel their absence. Tristan appeared to be a great guy and got played by Kaz last week. Kellyanne is a bit overly rambunctious, but she stands for, you know, the good part of the game, and she has some kind of moral compass to her. So I like her, and how she was done by Janae, it was just not cool for me. So I was team Kellyanne, right? Devin tells Troy to make me bacon after they come in the house because they've won. And Troy's like, no, you made me bacon. Darrell's like, no, you made me bacon. You know, an Aussie joke, if you will, I guess. Sarah talks to Emily about the fact that they have to win because if they don't win, they're gonna be going in. Both sides, obviously. And Emily also knows about the deal that they made that, you know, if next week happens and whatever goes wrong, that they would throw Emily and Yes in to save themselves. But they know about all that. And what's appreciative is that you have a team that is as vocal as they need to be toward each other to make sure that they all know what's going on at the same time. I don't know why people can't make that kind of agreement if you're calling yourself an alliance. Communication should be had. Kaz versus Jordan, and Theo is just being an innocent bystander and not getting in the way, right? Because he has to fight for $500,000 too. But in this particular moment, it appears to be that Jordan is standing firm in who he is as a person, and Kaz is trying to come to a common ground with him. Jordan has made up his mind and is team his friends versus team the team he's on. And Kaz is trying to get him to understand that that's not cool because you're putting my game at jeopardy for people that aren't even a part of your game, like in your team, you know? And so Kaz is trying to reason with Jordan, but sometimes when Jordan has his mind made up, his mind is made up. Then we get a camera clip of Darrell talking about his family. We get to see his kids, his boy and his girl. Beautiful family. You can see that they're from Darrell. And he's talking about wanting to build generational wealth and bring home, you know, some financial stability to, you know, add it to the family. He also talks about how it's very difficult to make these decisions to come do these games because you're away from your family for at least, you know, a month to 2 months or whatever the case may be. So it's very difficult to be away. Although these individuals do get stipends to be on the show, $500,000, coming home with $500,000 is way better than, you know, nothing, you know what I'm saying? Or not nothing, but the stipend. But again, some of these people make $8,000 an episode. So I don't know how these people are living, but you know, that's a nice little coin. Or is it $8,000 a week, the week that they're away? Something like that. It's whatever their agreed stipend is, either weekly or episodic. If they're in the episode, I don't know. One of the two. I don't know. But y'all can look it up because it's on Google. So we get to the challenge. It's called Points Break. And what's interesting in this swimming challenge is, one, they have to be tethered to each other. Two, they can only get 3 checks to check their answers in the end, which is great. I think that should be how it's done, like, forever, because it's always check, you know. So that's great. I'm liking the setup of this because it's leaning towards Emily and Yes winning, right? Because they're the best swimmers. But hold on now, because Jordan is a great swimmer himself, and Jordan is very, very smart and competitive. And this aspect of Jordan is what I like. It's the when he goes against the human moral, quote unquote, human moral code, and he comes across as an a-hole, that he's just not that likable. Like him talking to Kaz and treating Kaz like she doesn't matter and she's not an equal to him, or whatever the case may be, because he's been in the game longer, is some bull crap. And I don't necessarily like that aspect of Jordan. But when Jordan is encouraging and like, let's go, we can do it, let's go, we can do it, Jordan is probably one of the best people to have on your side on the challenge, because he is that guy, right? But you have to kind of put well, you don't have to do anything, but I try to put my minds in their mindset, and how if you've been doing this for 20 some odd years and you're being partnered with someone who's only been doing it for 2, like, you're not really gonna want to hear what they gotta say. Even if they won their season, great, but I do this. You know what I'm saying? I have a reputation to uphold. I'm standing on, you know, a legacy. You know what I'm saying? And you just came into the game. Like, so I get that gravitas, that vibrato, that put up your chest and beat it kind of mentality that a Johnny, a CT, a Wes, a Jordan, you know, would have, right? Because they're old that, right? They get to be that way. I mean, even Darrell can be that way to a certain extent, but just every challenge in the last, like, I don't know how many years, he just hasn't been like hitting it like everyone else has. So I guess that's why his bark is not that loud anymore. But I don't know. We get through the challenge and, you know, Emily and Yes end up winning. But I do have to shout out Jordan and Kaz. Jordan made a mistake on the wrong puzzle piece and they had to do an extra lap. Even when doing an extra lap, Jordan pulled the hell out of Kaz in that water and kept up with freaking Emily, which is amazing. Granted, though, Yes is way bigger and heavier than somebody's Kaz. So you have a dude pulling a light chick versus the light chick pulling a dude. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta give it to Emily because she held her own. She was still able to make it through carrying Yes. And like Emily said, Jordan was in her backwash, what made it less tension and pull against him going against the waves as the waves is already coming in his direction. So Jordan is not the one to play with. You know what I'm saying? So he's smart and I can understand why he is who he is and how he is, right? But but Emily and Yes win, right? And it becomes this like discussion, which I do understand because we're dealing with Tori. But what was surprising, even though Tori was trying to like throw her game in the water and say F it to save Jordan, Jordan was willing to do the same thing. And I thought that was so dope. I was like, wow, really? Like Jordan is out here trying to throw his name in the mud, you know? And I don't know, it was just really interesting to see that because it's not often that I recall Jordan doing that, right? And so we move past that and we get to a stalemate, right? Because nobody wants to vote for anybody. And Emily and Yes have 3 freaking side deals with the teams left. 3 freaking side deals. She got a side deal with Danny. She got a side deal with Sarah. Now she has a side deal with Jordan. It's 3 teams. Who does that leave left? Her and Tori. Wow. That's very, very interesting. But the side deal with Jordan is that if they're leading to win next week, that they'll sit that one out and allow them to win. Like if Emily and Jordan are both tying to cross the finish line, then he'll step behind and be second so that Emily and Yes can win. I don't understand why Emily and Yes thought that would even be a thing. I'm very confused by that. But, you know, it is what it is. Darrell and Kiki ended up going against, you know, Kaycee and freaking Troy, and Kaycee and Troy win. I'm gonna tell you, Kaycee is a good player. She's a good player. She's proven herself in these eliminations. She's a good player. She's working to get to the end. She's a good player. And Troy is a good player. He won his particular season for his country. So this is a good team. My aggravation with her and her past to the side, Kaycee this season is a good player. She's being thrown in elimination and she's winning, right? She's in it. She's partnered with Troy. Troy has proven that he's been thrown in eliminations and he's winning. So it is what it is. Kaycee and Troy, they're a stand-up team. Now, I don't know about Danny and Tori. They haven't won anything all season. They haven't been in elimination all season. So we can't say whether or not they're good or bad. But, you know, I couldn't understand Tori trying to prove this point like, oh, he needs to prove himself because all he did was win. He never went to an elimination. That's a good thing. What are you talking about? I'm Team Danny. Like, what? You want me to go to elimination to possibly lose just to prove that I can do an elimination? Are you stupid? Like, what are you talking about? He went through the whole season of his season and won. He's a champ, period. I don't need to be in no elimination to... How many times Anissa has been in elimination? Does she deserve respect and she hasn't won? Like, what? No. When we get to elimination, sure, I could give her all the respect in the world because she's proven that she can win eliminations. She hasn't won a final. She can't prove that. So because she's been in 35 eliminations, I should let her skate to the end? Are you serious? I was like, what? She dumb. Danny was like, I don't know what the hell you talking about. I'm not doing that. Like, what's wrong with you? And that makes sense. Unfortunately, we lose Darrell and Kiki to Kaycee and Troy, but Kaycee and Troy were the better players. It is what it is. They figured out the math equation. And it was hilarious, Darrell trying to figure out the math equation, and then he was in a post-confessional saying the numbers, and I'm like, that's not make, what he's saying ain't make, what he's saying? I couldn't understand it. But unfortunately, it's because of the math equation that they couldn't get through, because that puzzle that they had to solve seemed really, really easy. But tell me why Troy and Kaycee could not kick through that wall when the boy went up and tried to hit the wall and it said boom. I fell out. I couldn't understand why they couldn't did that thing, but that third jump helped, because even Kaycee could have did it. Now I would have felt like, what was that little boy? The little boy that had the girl that was from Big Brother. Y'all know I'm bad with names. But I think her name was Aaliyah, Alicia, and Tony, whatever them boys' name is. But that boy could not lift. That boy could not lift. That boy could not lift her up out of the water to save his life, and he kept trying to lift her up. That was hilarious. I think his name was Tony or something with a T. Child, I'm bad with names, so it is what it is. I'm a reviewer, not a reporter. But shout out to Kaycee, shout out to Kaycee and Troy for beating Darrell and Kiki. The only people left in this game that I care about winning is Danny. That's it. That's all. If Danny and Tori go home, the show is trash to me. Show is trash. I do like how Jordan, you know, changed the tune of his voice and came around and you know, saw Kaz as an equal and decided to play for his teammate instead of his friends. I don't know who had a final like conversation with him or whatever, but I'm glad that they showed that, because I'm tired of Jordan being an asshole. I'm tired of it. Like, we don't need to see that no more. Jordan, you are a good guy. Be a good guy all the time. You could be a good guy and competitive. You could be a good guy and political. Just be a good guy all the time. Do not be a DICK. There's no point in it. You know, if Jordan was like this the whole way through, I could see me cheering on for Jordan. But listen, they got a rude awakening. They get Jordan to go to the final. What? If Jordan go to the final, like Jordan and Cass seem to be the strongest team. Well, if I had to say, yeah. Jordan and Cass, Emily and Yes, and Kaycee and freaking Troy. Those are the top three. Those are top three. Danny and Tori has not proven themselves, and freaking Sarah and Theo, what? They're a layup. More Sarah than Theo, but they're a layup. So those are the top three that I believe are gonna make it to the end. But it's gonna be between Emily and Yes and Jordan and Cass. If Emily and Yes don't get out, it's gonna be between Jordan and Cass and Emily and Yes. Anyway, leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought about this review, what you thought about the episode, right? I know this review is a little lukewarm because the episode was lukewarm, but definitely leave your comments below. Thank you for watching.